thank God that happened. I reported to work the day that boy was born. Actually, he came with blessings. From the day that second-born boy was born, my life has never been the same again. I have never struggled in a way that I can say God is not by my side. That boy came with light in my life. He introduced light in my life. He introduced favor. Though the Bible says that he who finds a woman obtains favor from the Lord. There are people that come into your life, like in the Bible, let me bring you with speed. Joseph was a man that was born with favor hanging over his head. And as at the time Joseph was dreaming when he was in his father's house, he was hated. Actually, nobody loves your destiny. It is only you and your God. Any other opposition towards the achievement of your dream only escalates you towards your dream. So do not pray for the death of your enemies. Actually, they will die with your blessings. They hold the keys to every door that you should pass through towards your destiny. Joseph dreamt and he was hated with the entire family, from the father, mother, and all his siblings. Thank God, everybody that hated him was strategically positioned on his way towards his destiny to play a role in escalating him, to catapult him towards his destiny. So Joseph, hated by brothers, hated by his parents. The brothers sell Joseph. Selling Joseph was not by mistake. It was orchestrated by God. Only God can allow the devil to tempt you. Like in the case of Job. Joseph is sold to foreigners. You may be willing to die in Kenya, yet your blessings are in America, or Ukraine, or Russia. Because you are born to rule the nations, to dominate. You are a special seed in the hands of God. Joseph is sold. Where he lands, he is still mistreated. The mistreatment was just fertilizer to make him grow, develop wisdom in that situation to move to the next level. Some of us, our destiny has even prisons in between for us to reach our destiny. Joseph was thrown even in the prisons so that he can meet his destiny helper in the prison. He met his destiny helper in the prison. That is why he was to be mistreated, be accused, so that he can be thrown there without the knowledge of his boss, his manager, his master. The master was also a destiny helper, positioned strategically on Joseph's way towards his destiny. So, why am I saying all these things? Is because where you find yourself, you will have a desire to move to a stage. And to move to that stage, you may not find everyone supporting you. Those who do not support you are the most important people in that journey. Those who do not support you are the most important people. Now, when I was posted into this particular bank, I found favor with the in charge, with the bankers. Anyone that came my way favored me. To date, that favor hangs over my head. That favor has been like a garment. It has sweet aroma. Wherever I appear, the kind of reception itself indicates that this is God at work. So I worked there among 32 guards. Within 1 week, the in-charge chooses me as his assistant. You are a newcomer. You become a darling to people, not because you have chosen, but the blueprint of God demands and dictates that people must receive you. as he wills. I give glory to God. Remember, my book is called It is God. All these things I'm talking about is not by power nor by might, but it is by the Spirit of God that leads me into the direct places that he has positioned his people to hold my hands. I worked there for 1.5 years. My birthday was being done by that same bank. Among 32 guards. If that is not favor, you the listener who is looking at me, which name can you attach to that action? That is God's favor at work. I worked for 1.5 years, and I got an official invitation to the office of that company. And I thought to myself, these people want to sack me. It is too early to sack me. And at that point, I loved my job. I enjoyed the job of a security guard as at that time because I had developed love for it. My friends were bankers. I developed love because the clique of people that were around me were people with a future. When I reached that office, I was told, in this company, we want you to choose which department you want us to take you to. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm not a grandson of this company. I'm not a relative of anyone working in this company in any other position. I am just a stranger. With this offer, do you want to sack me this early? I said to myself, I had a meeting, a very quick meeting of minutes within myself before I could answer any question. And I was encouraged by the manager. He called me by my surname. Owino, just say. And he spoke a little bit of my native language, my mother tongue. Though he doesn't come from my village, from my tribe. And I said to myself, okay, if God has used you as a vessel to bless me, who am I to refuse? So I told the manager, I think I can deliver in this particular, such particular department. And I was told, okay, you believe that is the best? I said to myself, because I had done no any other course. Remember, from high school, I had never sat in any other institution. But I was in this university called the Wilderness. Actually, let me tell you, I've been to 3 universities. The University of, I've been to Jomo Kenyatta University to visit a church member. In fact, to attend a graduation ceremony. I've been to Nairobi University to visit a relative. And I've been to the University of the Wilderness, personally attending classes, doing all exams. And that university has brought me this far. It is currently that now I'm doing my bachelor's degree in a course of biblical studies and community development. After that, now I proceed with another course that I had registered for, security management and criminology. So when I was being asked the question of which department, it was dependent on the course that I have taken. I had never done anything. But thank God, the department I chose, when I was taken there, I received favors. I was taken there in the lowest rank, just to be an escort. I did what I could do. Within 2 weeks, again, I was told, you don't belong to that particular department, that particular position. Come here. I was given another position. I delivered. They still saw that they were underutilizing my efforts. I was again taken to another one, to be now in charge of all the operations. Control room. You are coordinating the whole nation. Remember, God's candidates do not need documents of this world to be escalated to positions that God has designed for them. He designs positions, and he is the one that qualifies the people he has called. So all these qualifications I carried were God-given. That man was given a spiritual eye to see. God had to use somebody to see in the spirit that this particular man is carrying something you need, because I had no paper to show. So I did my best until I realized that I was being used, because they were not reciprocating. They were not giving me what is worth my efforts. And as usual, I always say, I have the power to determine my destiny. In conjunction with God, I decided to go to work. I worked until my time that I needed to go home. And I told the boss that I better go and suffer in the hands of God than to suffer in the hands of a wicked man. Why? Because it takes the hand of God to open the eye of man to appreciate your efforts. And I was not appreciated with the same value I offered myself for work. So I worked until evening, and then I left and told them that me, I'm gone. I again went back to the University of the Wilderness. People just talk that their doors have been closed because of house rent, very minor problems. There is no testimony without a test. You have to be tested to be qualified to stand on any platform to give a testimony. So if you don't want a testimony, then don't avail yourself for the test. So I went back to the wilderness for more tests. And actually, now it brings me to a point where I will tell you that even by leaving that job, it was God's hand. After leaving that job, I got saved. The same year I left that particular job, I met Christ. After meeting Christ, I planned to establish my marriage on the foundations of Christ, and decided that I want to do a wedding. Remember, I was jobless. So I decided to do my wedding when I was jobless. That is the best time to identify with people that truly love you. They don't love the things you have, but they love you as you are. Actually, nobody is born with anything holding in his hand. So if anybody hates you because you have nothing in your hands, then even a newborn baby should not be loved, because they have nothing to show. There is nothing that can attract people to them that they have achieved. So I decided to do my wedding when I was jobless. And I planned my wedding. A clique of people discouraged me. And I thought to myself that I am the bearer of this vision. I should not listen to any extra voice around me, apart from the voice of God. Unless God talks to me at night and instructs me that I don't want shame, I will not proceed. But if God is with me in this shame, I will proceed, because he will turn my shame into fame. Oh my. I went ahead, did my wedding, and bought a ring of 40 shillings, 2020, at a market in Nairobi, a very big market. And because I'm not promoting the market, I'm not mentioning the name. I bought 2 rings, one for myself and one for my wife. The reason to why I was doing all this, I had the reason of building my marriage, not showing off the standard of the activities of a wedding. Building my marriage on the foundations of Christ, so that I can walk the scripture that says that he who finds a wife obtains favor. We were living out of the will of God as a wife and husband. In fact, it was eloping. She eloped, and I eloped, and we met at an equilibrium point and started living. So I decided I want God to show favor in this family. And we wedded. And it was successful. And for your information, even the cake that we ordered for, I paid when I started working. That is when I finished paying the cake. I paid the cake for 2 years, and it was less than 20,000. Never get discouraged in life because of other external voices. God does not work with a crowd. He works with an individual. That is why when at times Jesus was going to save a life, he would enter by himself, unless one of the disciples shared in faith with him. So God calls you, gives you the vision. You are the bearer. You know the instructions. When Abraham was instructed to go and offer Isaac as a sacrifice, he did not share the idea with the wife, because he had the instructions by himself. And that is why he succeeded and obtained the name a friend of God. So I decided to continue with my wedding, and we wedded. And I tell you, the listener, we wedded. I have a ring in my hand. Later on, it was inscribed. It is bearing the name of my wife. The one in her finger is bearing her name, my name. And where I am working today, the team that I had decided that this is where we will come and do our photo session. The best man came, paid the entry fee for those who had marched in my wedding, and they entered. When he came for us in the car, remember, even the car was donated. I had nothing to hire even a car. I love problems. Let me bring you with speed. It is the only free university you can attend that can harden you for this life. We are here for a season, and if you do not prepare yourself for this season, then you may die early because of the pressure of the world. You must be prepared. You must have spiritual shock absorbers to absorb any other external force that comes to enter into your body, to interfere with your dream and your goals. Don't let the storm be in you whenever you find yourself in the storm. So, the best man comes for us, brings us. When we reached the entry point, we were blocked. And I did not take photos in my wedding. There were no photos to date. I'm yet to do a very big wedding. A wedding that must be shown live on the mainstream media. Live. The God I serve is a God of action. He proves himself where I have been disapproved. He is just waiting for the appointed time to ignite it in me so that it can become a reality. When the best man came, we were told we have not hired the space and we cannot enter. So it forced him to call whoever had entered to come out, and we went to the reception. Took the snacks were there. We went back. I went to my house with my wife. Remember, the reason of my wedding was to establish my foundation on Christ. That marriage was to be established on the foundations of Christ. And we went home. Life continued. After the wedding, a third born came. Now the third boy came to seal the marriage. Another bouncing baby boy. And that is why I told you I have 3 boys. One that led to my marriage. The second that introduced favor into my life in the job industry. And the third one that now sealed my marriage, brought stability. Those babies that come with demands and desires, whatever they see, they want. And thank God, whatever they see, God provides for it. And as at that time, I had favor with men. I could exchange cars like nothing, not my own. To an extent that the owner of these cars can tell you that God will bless you with your own. Because if you can take care of mine this way. As at that time, I was just running errands for people. Thank God I am a driver. And I taught myself how to drive. Most of the things I do is by learning by observation, by asking questions, or by doing. So I never went to any driving school. I taught myself how to drive while I was a controller in that farm where I was working before I left. So I was running errands for people faithfully, and during that period I employed myself in one of those banks, the same bank where I was a security guard. I employed myself. You can employ yourself. Somebody is asking how. Whenever there is a problem, do not focus on the problem. Look for the opportunity in that problem. Be the solution to that problem. Then you will become self-employed in that particular situation where people see problem, you are seeing an opportunity. So people were being sacked because they had to attain certain standards of marketing. And thank God he gave me a tongue, he gave me a good sound, he gave me the eyes and the ears to listen. So I had all the information and the features of their products at my fingertips. And most of them I learned while I was a guard there. So where you are is just a learning ground. That is why I said, where you are is not what you are. That particular knowledge I gathered there, knowledge is power. It now kept me when I was not in any formal employment. And I did that marketing, and I was on demand from the staffs because everybody needed me. And as we know, the rule of demand, supply and demand, the higher the demand, so I did the job perfectly, honestly, going to institutions and to get people, clients, and later on, I got this opportunity through a friend, a very good friend who was actually working in that same bank building, a very good friend. He was my boss by then, when I was working there as a guard. And I want to say that when God decides to favor you, there is no mountain that is too big for him to flatten. When God decides to favor you, there is no valley that is too deep for him to raise. When God decides to favor you, there is no path that is too crooked for him to make straight. I now want to welcome all our viewers. Subscribe to this channel, Journey on Journey Talk Show, every day. Thank you. May God bless you.